When we decided to build a house in Colorado, we knew it was going to be a big project. What we didn't know was how much life would happen while we were building it. Over the past couple of years, we have driven back and forth from California more times than I can count. We brought home a puppy, said goodbye to our Sadie, spent weeks living in our RV, and somehow, through all of it, kept building this house. So, let's go back to where all of this started. A few years ago, we decided to build a second home in Colorado. We live in California, so from the beginning, we knew building here would mean a lot of back and forth. And of course, wherever we went, the corgis came with us. Back then, it was Max and Sadie making those long drives to Colorado with us. They watched this place go from an empty piece of land to a construction site. And somehow, every trip became part house project and part corgi road trip. There were long days in the car, but also plenty of stops along the way for Max and Sadie to explore. And while we were busy thinking about concrete, walls, windows, and everything else that comes with building a house, Max and Sadie were mostly concerned with the important things. Where are we going? Is there somewhere good to nap when we get there? And where can we play? At the time, that became our routine. California, Colorado, and 2 corgis along for the ride. We just had no idea how much that little traveling crew was about to change. Then, in 2025, Sophie came into our lives. Suddenly, our little family had 3 corgis. Sophie was tiny, curious about absolutely everything, and full of that puppy energy that somehow takes over the entire house, or more so, our RV. Max and Sadie were getting used to having a little sister, and for a few weeks we got to experience life with all 3 of them together. We had no idea just how short that chapter would be. Just a few weeks after Sophie joined our family, Sadie got very sick. Everything happened incredibly fast. One moment, we were adjusting to life with 3 corgis and raising a puppy, and the next, we were facing something we never could have been prepared for. We lost Sadie in October. For a while, everything else just stopped mattering quite so much. The house was still there, the project was still waiting for us, but we needed some time to simply be together and adjust to life without her. Sadie had been part of so much of this journey with us. And although she never got to see the house finished, she will always be part of the story of how we got here. Eventually, life started moving again. Sophie kept growing, and she and Max started finding their own rhythm together. And little by little, we found ours too. The house project was still waiting for us in Colorado, so eventually it was time to make the trip again. This time, things looked a little different. It was Max and Sophie in the back seat. and somehow our next chapter had already begun. When we made it back to Colorado, the house had come a long way, but there was also still plenty of work left to do. So, while we worked on the house, the four of us settled into life in the RV. And honestly, Max and Sophie adjusted pretty quickly. They found places to nap, plenty of room to play, wildlife to keep an eye on, and somehow life around a construction site became completely normal to them. But we also made sure to get away from the construction every once in a while. And I think they appreciated the break just as much as we did. And as I'm sitting here in our RV, editing this video, it's kind of hard to believe how much has happened since we started. The house has changed so much. Our little Corgi family has changed too. There were a lot of good moments, some really hard ones, and plenty we never could have planned for. And somehow, all of it has become part of the story of this place. We're not quite at the finish line yet, but we're getting closer. And if you've been following along with Max and Sophie, or if you're just finding us for the first time, I'm really glad you're here to see where this story goes next.